Hi, everyone, and welcome to the third year of Tea Time with Tara. That's right. I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary of this podcast. So we are officially entering the third year. This is my third year of doing my Me and ADHD special episode for ADHD Awareness Month. For those of you who don't know me, I am your host, Tara. I released my first episode in October of 2022. I apologize, my voice does not normally sound like this. I am on week 3, actually almost week 4 of recovering from COVID, but I have some downtime right now and knew that if I did not get this recorded, that in true ADHD fashion, I would just not do it most likely. I decided that a big theme in my life is moving, so why not talk about that as it relates to ADHD? Because as you all know, ADHD touches every single aspect of your life. And with moving comes chaos and big change. So I am currently doing the thing that I said that I don't actually do, which is sitting and waiting. I realized that there are times when I have something coming up and I get myself ready and then I'm like, oh shit, okay, so I am going to be late if I get into something else. Like, I know myself by now to know that if I get into something, I'm going to lose track of time and I'm going to be late. Sometimes I show up to something really early. Now, that means that I am now waiting in my car, but I decided to take advantage and do this. I've taken a good amount of time off of recording, and that is just because life got a little crazy, to be honest. I feel like just between getting back into school, I am officially into year 3 of my psychology degree and just everything that kind of comes along with that, as well as really focusing my energy on getting into the swing of things at my new job. I just passed my 1-year anniversary there at the end of August, and my schedule was really wacky and it just wasn't working. I was on a second shift compressed schedule, so I was working 4 10-hour days. And I thought that it was going to be great because I was like, cool, I'm going to have 3 days off. But really what ends up happening, at least for me, because I have children, is that my Thursday and Friday that were my days off wound up just being spent waiting until my kids were done with school. I would end up having more doctor's appointments and I could get started on stuff, but it just felt like I wasn't really being as productive as I had hoped I would be. Plus, then a late evening meant my shift was over at 11:30 p.m. and working late meant working sometimes until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, which when you still have to wake up in the morning to get your children ready for school just really was not sustainable. And so I felt like it was starting to take a toll on me physically and mentally. So I made the decision to let my boss know, of course, that I needed to go on Monday through Friday as soon as it was available. And it did take a little bit because they had to hire someone to take over my shift. But thankfully, that was an option. I actually started the normal Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 schedule at the beginning of July. And that has been such a game changer for me because I did not realize how much of a creature of habit I am. And it really did help me to create more routines and just stay on top of things a little bit better. I even felt like housework was a challenge. I think that the one thing that I'm struggling now to make time for is working out. And that's especially difficult because not being on any medication for my psoriatic arthritis. I won't get too much into that because I can talk about that another time. But before I had COVID, I had a stomach virus and I wasn't even fully better yet from the stomach virus when I got COVID. And so I really do think that's probably a big contributor as to why I am having such a hard time with COVID recovery. Plus, I do just feel like this strain of COVID really kicked a few people's asses. I got it at work, actually. So a few of my coworkers had it, and it was brutal. But that's not the point of that. The point is that because of being sick, I am not allowed to take any immunosuppressant medication, which means no psoriatic arthritis treatment. Thankfully, I am still able to take Celebrex, which is an anti-inflammatory. So that helps with the pain, but I am really eager to start this new medication. I will give details about that at another time, but right now I really want to focus on ADHD. Since being diagnosed, I feel like the more that I learn about ADHD, the more I realize how much it has affected every aspect of my life. If you have not listened, I do suggest that you give at least the other couple of ADHD episodes a listen. I feel like it might be a fun exercise in seeing how far I've come, not just as a person with my ADHD diagnosis and treatment and everything, but also as a podcaster, because I listened to that first episode and I cringe. It's actually embarrassing, but I feel like I was still learning. And yeah, you could definitely see that. At least I can. We've even thought of deleting it entirely, but I won't do that because I hope that it's helpful for people. I hope that it's helpful for someone. And even if it is helpful for one person, even if you can listen and laugh at me, please bust my balls about it if you do listen and find it as cringeworthy as I do. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels inauthentic to completely delete it. It was definitely very scripted. And actually, the reason that it was so scripted is because it took me like 30 different times to record it unscripted. And it was so fucking chaotic that I took all of the things that I had said when it was unscripted and put it into a script. And so it was half unscripted, half scripted, if that makes sense, because I said all of those things completely unscripted, but then made it into a script because it was such a shit show every time I tried to go without a script. I've since learned that I definitely need show notes because I will veer off track, but I don't need an entire script unless I am speaking about something very specific in which I will have notes for that specific section. But don't know why I'm telling you about my recording bullshit, but I guess that's why we're all here, right? Because sometimes I ramble about shit, and isn't that ADHD? So while my work schedule brought a lot of changes, the biggest change is coming with my move. Of course, moving brings a lot of new routines, which is both exciting and a little bit overwhelming with ADHD. I am planning to manage this with priority lists, which I have been chipping away at, though they can seem a little bit overwhelming, and I will talk about that. But also body doubling. Body doubling is huge. So let's dive into this. The important part and the big part is that I am moving in with my partner. So I have now been with my partner, Mike, for almost 2 years. If you want to hear more about that, I'm sure that I've talked about it before. And I know that I mentioned him in my first me and ADHD episode, but I don't mention him by name and I talk about how I insulted him. Anyway, that's the really big news, and that's going to be what I'm going to focus on this episode because it is such a huge part of my life and all of the things that are going along with that. So I have not lived with anyone since separating from my ex-husband in March of 2020. I have dated some people briefly, some longer than I should have, but I met my person on Labor Day weekend of 2022. So we are now at the end of October of 2024 when I am recording this. And basically, it's been a ride. I have learned so much about myself just in general by being single. And I have also learned a lot about myself by being with someone who creates a safe space for me and making more friends who are dealing with similar challenges with ADHD and with parenting and with relationships and yada yada. So I feel like I'm continuing on this whole path of growth in my life. And it's been a really big transition period for me. And it's scary. It's scary because I feel like I left a relationship where I thought it was going to be forever and kind of found myself in the process of picking up the pieces afterwards. And while that has been really cool and liberating, it's also been really scary and it's been a lot of work and there have been a lot of downs. It has not been fucking rainbows and unicorns by any means. It's actually been the complete opposite. I mean, it's been brutal. Just life in general has been brutal. And so it's awesome to have a partner to go through that stuff with me. And we did go through some really tough times together. And I don't mean in our relationship, I mean as individuals, what we were dealing with. When we first started dating, we were both going through some really tough shit. But now I've gotten to a point where anxiety is not really an issue for me at all because I have processed so much of my trauma and I've been so open about what I'm feeling and experiencing and the things that I have experienced. And I overcome a lot of the shame that I was feeling with certain things. And so I think that for me now, it seems like a normal level of anxiety, meaning that I get a little bit anxious about going into a situation that's unknown. The fear of the unknown is just a normal thing for us as human beings. So that is really the kind of stuff that I get anxious about now rather than simply leaving the house or going grocery shopping. I mean, I still get anxious going grocery shopping, but that definitely has more to do with the sensory overload. I still don't like to do it, but I have a partner who either will go with me or once we live together, he will be going. So I don't have to, probably for the most part, which is awesome. Speaking of groceries, I feel like that's a perfect segue into the next topic, which is that I am still struggling with figuring out what works for me as far as feeding myself without spending so much money on takeout. One of the things that my partner and I have spoken about is that we will be better about meal prep. And so, since we will not be splitting our time between two separate homes, we will be under the same roof. We are going to be dedicating time on the weekends to preparing meals for the rest of the week. And that is specifically because number one, it just kind of makes life easier when things are really crazy during the week. And number two, it ensures that we are eating healthy and nutritious foods and not just getting something at the last minute because we didn't plan properly. And so with ADHD, I find that feeding myself in general is very difficult. I have a hard time even deciding like what I want to eat. I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like I get paralysis over what to put in my face. And there are a lot of times where I'm kind of like, oh no, I don't want that. And that's what I fucking have. And so I end up eating. My latest addiction is burrata. So I eat a lot of burrata. So at least that's kind of healthy. There's protein and shit, but definitely not a full meal. I know that there's that whole thing that was going around for a while called girl dinner. And I would definitely say that that's kind of been my vibe. The other day, what did I have? I think I had a donut and some burrata, not together, but with some crackers and salami. And that was it. Those were my 2 meals of the day. So I do think that it's really important to know what your weak points are and what you struggle with the most. And if you are lucky enough to have a partner that can support you, then obviously you would then coordinate with your partner. Otherwise, you have to find hacks. And so I was trying meal delivery kits for a while where you would get all of the ingredients for meals. And it's great in theory because it eliminates the whole having to do grocery shopping for meal planning, because then you just look at a menu, you pick the meals that you're going to eat, and then you get whatever you need for those meals. The problem is then it's still, for me anyway, too much work. I just wouldn't do it. Food went bad a lot. And then I would feel really terrible and guilty because on top of just wasting food, which feels wrong to me, I don't know if that comes from being a poor kid growing up or just in general. It's also throwing away money. And so that felt really shitty to me because I am certainly not in a position to be throwing money away. And I don't think most of us are. So I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So I figured out that the meal kits that had more items that were already prepared, so things that the chicken was seasoned or even the chicken was cooked and all I had to do was reheat it, or rice just had to be microwaved, those kinds of things, I was a lot more likely to prepare and eat rather than waste, because I know that after multiple failed attempts to try those different types of meal kits, that it just wasn't working for me. So that was something that I learned. So there are things, I'm not going to name them all. You guys can, of course, reach out to me. I probably have some promo codes to share if you are interested, from having all of these different accounts, referral codes where you get a certain discount or something. I'm not using any of them anymore. So I promise you, I'm not trying to just profit because I won't use it if I get a credit, but I would be happy to share any links with you if you send me a message on Instagram. You can also email me at tara@teatimetara.com. So yeah, just know what works for you, what doesn't, and stop trying to do what doesn't work for you. Really, that is what it boils down to. Like, once you know something isn't working, stop trying to do that, because that's not how your brain works. And that's something that has helped me so much with when I'm struggling with something or stuck on something. I used to get overanalysis paralysis where I just get stuck on something. And the best thing that I ever did was to stop fighting against it and embrace it. And that really helped me to overcome it. But if you don't have a partner, there are ways to work around it where you're not spending a fortune, unless, of course, you are in a position to be ordering takeout all the time, then by all means do you, boo. I think that body doubling is super helpful for me. That's something that I realized I can talk on the phone with a friend and then I will get stuff done. So it doesn't have to be in-person body doubling. I have found that FaceTime is not as helpful because then I just want to look at the person and talk to them and sit down. But being on the phone helps me to be productive. So I have been doing that. I also find that listening to podcasts is another workaround for that, for when I don't necessarily want to talk to anybody, but I need to get shit done. There are podcasts that I've been listening to for a few years now, and so they feel familiar. So even if, though it's not like an actual direct conversation, it does feel a little bit more conversational, if that makes sense. So that has also worked for me too. It depends on what I'm doing, of course. I know that for when I'm doing schoolwork or when I am trying to focus on report writing for work, which is my primary role at my job, I cannot listen to podcasts because I will miss what is being said. And then it also feels a little bit overwhelming because I am trying to focus so hard on what I'm doing. And there are also words happening. So I need music to put on that feels not distracting. And that is very helpful for me. In the current chaos of moving, lists have been somewhat helpful. I think that I need to get better at body doubling in order to check off things from the list, but also prioritizing, because a big list, which is what I have right now, is overwhelming. And then I look at it and I'm like, I have to do so many things, and then things don't get done. So you can organize things into buckets, not actual buckets, but buckets of priority. And I'm having a really hard time articulating. I am sitting, oh my God, this is such an ADHD thing right now, where I'm sitting in a parking lot and I'm looking at the stores in front of me and I'm watching what the cars are doing and what all the people are doing. And I'm getting so fucking distracted. That's the problem with being in a fucking box with windows, right? But yeah, so my therapist friend, Kristen, who I've done a few episodes now with on various topics, she suggested to create priority lists. So further break your big list down into less overwhelming, smaller buckets of things to do. So I'm going to be trying that because, like I said, my fucking list is massive. I am moving a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with a yard and a garage. And let me tell you, you do not realize how much shit you have until you start moving. I have moved some things already into the new place, and it doesn't feel like I've moved really anything. I actually have my car full of stuff so that I can drop more stuff off at the new place after my appointment. I don't know why I was talking about that. I think I took my Adderall today, but it's probably wearing off right around now. Let me look. I have notes. Okay. So yeah, was talking about moving. Duh. I also do this at work where so I won't get into the nitty gritty of what I do, but essentially I have to manage projects, and I'm not a project manager though. It's just, that's the best way that I can describe it. And it's multiple projects at a time. And so there are a lot of pieces to each project. And I have found Microsoft OneNote to be very helpful. I know that there are other tools. I think Evernote is another one. I think there's also another one called Obsidian. Point being that OneNote is where you can create digital notebooks, and within those notebooks, you have sections. And then within those sections, you have pages. And I have different sections for different things. So I have one for my investigation notes. I have another one for lists of tools. I have another one for a specific type of investigation with helpful tips. I'm trying to think of meeting notes and even to-do lists. So I have separate section for a daily to do. And then I will just create a new page for either carrying things over from whatever wasn't previously done. But I do try to split those up into small bins of things to do. And that really helps me to stay organized so much better, because then if I am looking for something related to a specific investigation, I do interviews for investigations and I compile data for those investigations, in addition to creating folders for each investigation with the number associated with that investigation on my OneDrive. If I am, for whatever reason, feeling a little overwhelmed and not really feeling focused that day, if somebody sends me something like a file in Teams, I will drag it and drop it into that investigation note so that I know where to find that file so it doesn't get lost in my downloads folder, for example. Even with emails, same type of thing. If I do not feel like I have the mental bandwidth at that moment, because it's a chaotic day, to save a file to where it needs to be saved, because for some reason that is a real thing and a mental block for me sometimes, I will just drag it and drop it right onto that notebook page so that I know that it's there and I'll be able to find it later when I have the bandwidth to actually do what I need to do with it. So that's a little bit of what has helped me to really improve my performance at work. I have also asked for more frequent meetings with my boss, but unfortunately, because we are pretty understaffed, I've not been able to have more frequent meetings with him. But he does check in with me more frequently, just even if it's via Teams. He'll shoot me a message. But when I'm in the office, he'll sit with me and like, or sit next to me even, and just say, "Hey, how's it going? Do you need anything?" And sometimes it helps to just have him there to bounce ideas off of. But it also helps to have my coworkers around to bounce ideas off of. I've learned that sometimes I need to talk out an idea. And that helps me to overcome those mental blocks that I have, that overanalysis paralysis, where I'm like, am I making sense? I think that we can all use those. We call them sanity checks in my team. Those are really helpful. I'm trying to think of other lessons learned this year. I still fucking hate laundry. It's a problem. It's the bane of my existence. And I wish that it wasn't. I'm really hoping that when I have a live-in partner and we have a bigger washing machine at the new place, that it'll be less overwhelming, because right now I have to do a bunch of small loads of laundry. So it's like I'm constantly doing laundry because my washer and dryer are so small, and I will be able to do larger loads of laundry and get it done all at once. I know that's something that has helped me, but going to the laundromat, it just feels stupid because of the fact that I have a washer and dryer in my apartment. And why spend money on it if I have those things readily available to me? I know that's probably like shooting myself in the foot, because then my laundry is never, ever finished. But that is something that I am hopefully going to overcome a bit, with the fact that I will have that live-in body double to fold laundry with. Folding laundry is definitely a task that I do when I am on the phone with somebody. I find that is when I fold the most laundry. My partner has been very helpful with folding laundry. He will come and fold laundry with me. Other times, not so much, because then he's like, "Come on, just come and lay down." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I don't do anything. But other things that you can do are, one, like I said before, go to the laundromat. If you are not going to do your laundry at home, go to the laundromat. Then you're there. You can wash it and dry it and fold it all in one shot. Do not leave the fucking laundromat with your laundry unfolded. At least if you don't put it away when you get home, which really at that point, there's no fucking excuse. Just put it away. It's folded. yeah, then at least it's not in piles and all wrinkled and blah, blah, blah. The other thing that you can do is I know that there are laundry services where you can either drop off your laundry and they'll fold it for you, or even places that will pick up your laundry and wash it and hold it for you. I find that when I am folding laundry, I have to separate it out into piles based on how it's being put away. So if everything goes in one drawer together, then they all go into that pile together. That also really helps me to get it all done, because then I will fold a bunch of laundry, and instead of feeling like, oh, fuck, now I have to through all of this and put it away, blah, blah. It's just like, okay, this goes in that drawer, this goes in that drawer, and it gets done a lot quicker that way and feels a lot less overwhelming. So even if I am doing it in sections, at least I am putting shit away and still getting stuff done. I will, of course, give an update on the laundry situation after we have moved in and things have settled down. But I think that one of the things that worries me a little bit about moving in with someone is just the idea of, wow, now I'm going to be with this person every day who's going to see all of the little things that I do that I forget about all the time. Or what if he feels like I'm too messy? Or I don't know. I feel like that's also kind of pretty normal to feel all of those things, just to be like, oh my gosh, this person is never going to be able to get a break from me. I mean, granted, we both work full time. We both have friends that we do our best to spend time with. And we also talked about creating a space at home to have space from each other, because life is not always easy. Relationships aren't always perfect. And when you are with someone most of the time, they will get on your nerves. You will get into arguments. You will just need some you time to recharge. All of those things are perfectly normal and perfectly okay. And I think it's really important to make sure that you allow for that. So for me, I'm very lucky we will have the space to do that. And so our probably spring project will be creating a space separate from the house. But in the meantime, we obviously have a separate living room and bedroom and go on walks and things like that. So those things are pretty important, I think, for any relationship, and just making sure that you spend time with friends. I think that for us, because of the limited amount of time that we get to spend together between living separately and obviously with me being a parent and all that entails, it's been a little more difficult to have time together. So a lot of times for both of us, I think that we would devote more of our free time to each other. And I feel like living together will definitely make that part of life a lot easier, because then we're going to see each other all the time. And there's not going to be that added pressure of like, I only have this one day. So that's fun. I'm looking forward to that part for sure. Just because it can feel like a lot to split your time between two places. And I know that he has been doing the majority of that. And then things don't get done at home or wherever. So consolidating is something to look forward to for sure. Task avoidance is definitely something that I'm still struggling with a bit. And for the most part, I've gotten better just by being more organized and setting reminders and things like that. But if something is uncomfortable, I'll just keep putting it off or avoid it altogether, which isn't great, no matter how many reminders there are. I've been putting things in my calendar and making sure that my calendar is up to date, even when it's pajama day at school for my daughter or whatever it is. I'm putting everything in my calendar so that I have a full view of everything there is and making sure that it's all in one place. So I have access to my work calendar, my school calendar, my daughter's school calendar, my son's school calendar. my personal stuff because doctor's appointments. And I mean, my partner's schedule is pretty simple right now as far as work and stuff. So it's easy to remember, at least for the time being. But if there are appointments and stuff, we do have a shared calendar, like a family calendar that we put everything in. And he has visibility to parenting time schedule and yada yada. Point being, having things all in one place makes it a whole lot easier to see the whole picture and make sure you're not double booking or overbooking, giving yourself grace too. So if you see that you have booked your entire couple of weeks up or weekends, if that's all you have free, and you're like, fuck, I really just need a break, then give yourself a break. You can say no. Make sure that you allow yourself time to recharge, because I feel like, especially for those of us who are neurodivergent, or as I think I've heard a new thing called neurospicy, which I think is cute. I think because of masking, especially get so much more fatigued more easily. And so giving yourself the time to recharge is especially important. Also, just finding digital content that is relatable kind of helps me to feel a lot less alone. I recognize that my experience with ADHD is not the same as other people's. And there are going to be things that you're like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And there are going to be other things that you're like, oh, yeah, that totally resonates with me. And I feel like it's been really cool to even talk to my sister about what she experiences and her challenges and how similar some of them are and how different others are. It's also been really interesting because of having children and seeing what they experience and what their challenges are and how either similar or different they are. I mean, for me, my ADHD diagnosis, I can probably attribute to my son finally getting his diagnosis and me realizing, oh shit, that's me. And that's been me my whole freaking life. Another thing that goes along I think it's pretty high on the comorbidity rates is PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And that is something that I still definitely am struggling with, trying to find a treatment that helps with that, because it is 1 week out of every month that I am really struggling. I get really depressed. I feel really just like negative thoughts to the max. I am especially irritable and just not myself. So I'm working still with my psychiatrist on figuring out what works best for that. But I did start a new medication and it does seem to be helping. So I'm hoping that I can finally have some relief with that. The main thing with taking medication is, of course, consistency and creating routines. So that's something that's really important for those of us with ADHD, especially creating routines around things. For me, if I don't take my medication with my coffee in the morning, I am probably going to forget to take it. So I keep all of my medication near my coffee. I also have my vitamins. I know this is ridiculous and I know it creates clutter, but I haven't figured out another way yet. But to keep my vitamins also out on the counter, or at least in a place where I am looking very frequently. So I am increasing my odds of taking those vitamins, giving my daughter her vitamins, etc. All right. I could probably go on and talk to you guys forever because it has been so long and I feel like there's so much to update you all on. But I really want to make sure that I am keeping this manageable, and rather than it being a ramble fest, just keeping it to the point. The biggest thing this coming year is that tea time with Tara will be changing. I am going to be rebranding a bit. I am going to be changing the name of the show a bit. I'm also going to be changing the format a bit. It's still going to be me and I will still be the host, but I am hoping to expand in a different way and just grow into something new and different that I am passionate about. And so I am being cryptic on purpose because I have not fully fleshed out everything, but I have a ton of awesome ideas, and I will be devoting a good amount of time to fine-tuning everything for a new year release. So in 2025, which is only a couple months away now, the new show will be released. And so you can check out my Instagram. It is teatime.tara on Instagram, and that's probably where I will share updates. I'm trying to get better about other social media platforms, especially TikTok, because I know that I'm really missing a whole bunch of people, a whole different market, or I can't think of the fucking word, words are hard. Demographic, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I'm missing out on a whole demographic by not posting regularly to TikTok. So maybe that's something that I can get better at for this next year ahead and this next chapter. I am really looking forward to seeing how much better life is when I'm living with my partner and all of the awesome things that come out of that and growing from the challenges. I think that the one thing that has helped us when things are really stressful with the move has been all of the things that we're planning for making the space our own, like choosing paint colors and picking out new furniture and just making our space our space. Doing that together has been a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that all come together and, of course, doing life with my person. But overall, while I am nervous, I am also feeling very excited for this new chapter. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you all what I have planned for the podcast, what I have planned for some other ideas that I have been toying around with that I may or may not have the time for. I know that I have a tendency to have a million ideas and not have all the time in the world to execute them all. So I want to be conscious of that. I think that's something that I have learned with having ADHD is that just because I want to do all the things doesn't mean I need to do all the things. And I don't want to half-ass anything. I want to give the things that I am dedicating my time to my full attention to make sure that the finished product is complete and representative of who I am and of what I envisioned it to be. With that being said, it is just about time for my appointment. And so I am going to wrap this up. I just want to say one more time to give yourself grace. Be patient. You are not alone. You are never alone. Always feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to make sure that my email is set up, Tara, Tara, at teatimetara.com. That's Tara at teatimetara.com. You can find my link tree at teatimetara.com as well. And on Instagram, it's teatime.tara. I'm pretty sure that across other platforms, it's also teatime.tara. I'm trying to be more consistent and making it easier for you guys to find me. I'm so excited to share this upcoming chapter of Tea Time with you in 2025 and sharing more about what's going on in my life in the future. Until next time, don't be afraid of being yourself. Don't be afraid of being an agent of change. Let's keep changing the world one conversation at a time. Bye.